Welcome to the Lincfolio podcast.
I mean, it feels almost too simple, right?
It feels stark, yeah.
It does. But that's actually where the strategy comes in. There's a specific gnawing kind of frustration that I think is unique to the world of trading. It isn't the frustration of being a beginner and, not knowing what buttons to push. It's actually worse than that.
It's when you think you know.
Yes, it's the frustration of knowing exactly what to do. You've read the books, you've studied the charts, you maybe even paid for the expensive course, and yet you watch your account balance slowly bleed out anyway.
Right.
It's what I call the smart person's paradox.
It really is. You can be a high achiever in every other area of your life, engineering, medicine, law, where if you study X, you get result Y.
There's a clear path.
But the market has this way of taking smart people and making them feel like absolute novices.
Exactly. It's maddening. And usually the immediate reaction when that happens is to look at the external tools.
Of course.
We think, well, the strategy must be broken. My RSI settings are wrong. The broker is hunting my stops. We go looking for a mechanic to fix the car.
Right. But today, we are diving into a stack of research that suggests the car is perfectly fine.
Uh-oh.
The problem is the driver.
That is a tough pill to swallow, but I think we're ready for it. Today, we are doing a deep dive into the disciplined ledger, turning trading data into truth.
Yep.
We are pulling heavily from the insights in the Inside the Trading Journal series by Lincfolio.
Really fascinating series.
And the mission for this deep dive is to take something that sounds incredibly boring on the surface record keeping
So boring.
and reveal it as perhaps the single biggest psychological edge available to a retail trader.
And just to set the stage, we aren't talking about tax returns here. We aren't talking about, administrative chores.
Right.
We are talking about building a mirror that doesn't lie.
I love that image because the central thesis of the source material is fascinating. It argues that most traders don't lose money because they lack intelligence or because their strategies are fundamentally flawed.
Right.
They lose because they don't actually know why they are losing.
Which sounds like a riddle, doesn't it?
It does. If I lose money, I feel like I know why. I picked the wrong stock. Or the Fed raised rates, or Elon Musk tweeted something crazy.
That's the narrative. That's the story you tell yourself to make the loss make sense.
Okay.
But the source poses a few questions right at the top of the text that usually stop people in their tracks. Let me ask you one.
Go for it.
Do you truly know your win rate when you trade the first 30 minutes of the open versus, say, the afternoon session?
Off the top of my head, I'd probably say I'm better in the morning. I feel sharper, but I couldn't give you a number.
You could prove it.
No, I couldn't prove it.
Exactly. Or here's a harder one. How does your performance change after you take 2 consecutive losses?
Oof.
Do you stick to your risk sizing perfectly, or do you double up to try and get it back quickly?
I'd like to sit here and tell you I'm a robot who sticks to the plan.
We all would.
But if I'm being honest,
That's it.
I'd probably size up a little just to get back to break even so I can stop feeling bad.
And that probably is where the money vanishes. The premise of this research from Lincfolio is that thinking is not knowing.
Oh?
Our brains are wired for survival, not for probability. Evolution gave us a memory that is inherently biased.
How so?
We are designed to protect our egos, so we employ what psychologists call self-serving bias.
That's where we take credit for the wins and blame bad luck for the losses.
Precisely. You remember the trade where you called the top perfectly? That memory is vivid. It's high definition.
Oh, yeah.
You recount it to your friends, but your brain actively suppresses the memories of the 3 impulsive trades you took out of boredom that chewed up all the profit from that big win.
So it creates a highlight reel.
A highlight reel versus the raw footage. Exactly.
So we're essentially walking around with a distorted map of our own performance. We think we're trading one way, but reality is completely different.
Yes. And the market is the terrain.
Yeah.
If your map doesn't match the terrain because you've erased all the cliffs you fell off of in your memory, you're going to fall off them again. The market is raw data. It doesn't care about your narrative or your feelings. So the gap isn't intelligence. The gap is feedback.
That makes so much sense when you compare it to other skills. If I'm learning to play the guitar and I hit the wrong chord, it sounds terrible.
Immediate feedback.
If I touch a hot stove, I burn my hand. Immediate feedback.
But in trading,
the feedback loop is broken. You can execute a terrible trade, break all your rules, risk way too much, and still make money if you get lucky.
you get rewarded for bad behavior.
That is the most dangerous thing that can happen to a beginner. You learn that breaking rules equals profit.
Hmm.
Without a mechanism to capture the truth of why you took the trade, you learn the wrong lesson.
Okay, so the mechanism to fix this broken feedback loop is the journal. But let's address the elephant in the room. Everyone knows they should journal.
Right, it's like flossing.
It's exactly like flossing. We know we should do it. But I've started 5 different spreadsheets in my life. I fill them out for 3 days. It feels like homework. It feels like a chore, and I stop.
Everyone does. So why is the failure rate for this so high?
This is one of the most insightful parts of the Inside the Trading Journal material. They argue that the reason you quit, and the reason most people quit, is because you are journaling like an accountant, not a trader.
Accountant mode. I assume that just means tracking the dollars and cents.
It's the what. You open Excel, you type in the date, ticker, entry price, exit price, and P&L.
Yep.
Maybe you add a column for notes where you write something vague like sold too early.
That sounds like every trading log I've ever seen. What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing is wrong with it for your taxes, but it's useless for performance improvement.
Okay.
It tells you the result, but it ignores the process. It's a lagging indicator. It doesn't tell you why you bought. Did you buy because your setup actually appeared on the chart? Or did you buy because you saw a big green candle and got FOMO?
Right. The spreadsheet doesn't distinguish between a skilled entry and a lucky panic buy. It just says plus $500.
Exactly. So you look at the green number and think, good job. But if that trade was a rule violation, it was actually a bad trade that got lucky.
And you're reinforcing the bad habit.
If you only track the accounting, you are reinforcing the gambling habit. It's dead data. It's boring data entry. No wonder people quit. It feels like a job you didn't sign up for.
So we need to shift from accounting to what? Behavioral analysis, psychoanalysis.
In a way, yes. We need to view the journal as a laboratory. The source calls it the journal lens. We need to shift the focus from the results, the money, to the behavior.
Okay, let's get tactical here. If I'm opening my journal tomorrow and I want to do this the way the experts suggest, what are the specific columns or metrics I need to be tracking to get this truth?
The source breaks this down into qualitative data points. These are the soft metrics that actually drive the hard numbers.
Okay.
The first one is market context.
Meaning, what was the ocean doing while I was trying to swim?
Right. Was the market trending? Was it ranging? Was it volatile or quiet? A strategy might have a 70% win rate in a trending market, but a 20% win rate in a choppy market.
Right.
If you don't tag the market condition, you'll just look at your losses and think the strategy stopped working. You won't realize you're just using a hammer on a screw.
That seems obvious now that you say it, but I bet very few people actually log it.
Almost no one. They just log the trade itself.
So what's next?
This is the big one. Emotional state. You need to log how you felt before you click the mouse.
That feels a bit touchy-feely for a finance deep dive. Dear diary, today I felt sad.
It does sound like that, but it's actually biology. We're talking about physiological arousal.
Right.
Were you bored? Were you anxious? Were you on tilt, meaning angry from a previous loss?
Boredom is a killer. I've taken so many trades just to see something happen.
Of course.
It's like I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I need to click something.
The entertainment trade. We all do it. But here is the power of data. If you track emotional state for 50 trades and you filter your results by the tag bored, you might see that you have a 100% loss rate in that category.
That is a sobering realization.
It stops being an abstract concept, I shouldn't trade when bored, and becomes a line item on your balance sheet.
Right.
Boredom cost me $4,000 this month. That hurts enough to make you change.
That is a massive aha moment. It monetizes the flaw. Okay, so we have context and emotion. What about the mechanics?
You need a binary metric for rule compliance. This is simple. Yes or no?
Okay.
Did this trade follow the plan you wrote down before the market opened?
This separates the system failures from the operator failures.
Exactly. This is the most critical distinction in the entire Lincfolio philosophy. If you lose money, but rule compliance is yes, that's a cost of doing business. That's just probability.
You accept that.
You pay that happily. But if you lose money and rule compliance is no, that is a fine for incompetence. You need to distinguish between the two.
I like that. A quality loss versus a stupid loss.
And the last critical metric the source emphasizes is position sizing, specifically tracking in R multiples.
Okay.
Are you tracking your wins and losses in dollars or in units of risk?
Can you break that down for the listener who might just be looking at the total dollar amount?
Sure. If you risk $100 on a trade to see if it works, that is 1 R.
1 unit of risk.
Right. If you make $200, you made 2 R. Professional traders rarely talk in dollars. They talk in R because $500 might be a huge win for one account and a rounding error for another.
True.
But 3R, making 3 times your risk, is a standardized measure of performance.
It neutralizes the emotional impact of the money. $500 feels like a car payment. 2R just feels like a score.
It does, and it stops you from lying to yourself. You might have a 90% win rate making $10 at a time, but if your one loss is minus 500, you're a losing trader.
Yeah.
Tracking R multiples exposes that negative expectancy immediately.
Now, this brings us to the integration of Lincfolio. The source mentions it throughout, but it doesn't feel like a hard sell. It feels like a solution to the friction we talked about earlier.
Right, and that's the key friction. If you try to track emotional state, setup type, market context, and R multiple in a manual Excel sheet, it's a nightmare.
Oh, it's messy.
It's so messy. You have to create drop-downs, you have to format cells, the friction is too high, so you quit.
It becomes a data management job, and we're here to trade, not manage databases.
Exactly. The value proposition of a dedicated journaling tool like Lincfolio, as presented in the source, is that it automates the accountant stuff. It pulls in the entry, exit, price automatically from your broker.
So you don't have to type all that in.
So you can focus entirely on the trader stuff, the tagging. You just click Set Up A, Market Chop, feeling anxious, done.
It turns the subjective experience into objective data points with minimal effort.
And that allows for pattern recognition. This is the holy grail. The source mentions it usually takes about 20 to 30 detailed logs to find a major leak in your game.
Give us an example of a leak that isn't obvious until you see the data visualized.
A common one is time of day bias. I've seen traders who are absolute snipers between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They make all their money there, but then they give 60% of it back trading the lunch hour chop between 12 and 1.
They feel like they need to be working all day to be productive.
The Protestant work ethic destroys traders. In a normal job, more hours equals more output. In trading, more hours often equals more risk.
True.
But you won't stop trading lunch just because someone told you to. You will only stop when you see a bar chart in your journal that shows a giant red bar for 12:00:00 p.m.
The data gives you permission to walk away.
It gives you permission to do less and make more. Another huge leak is winner's tilt.
We usually talk about tilt when we lose, getting angry and revenge trading. What's winner's tilt? It's overconfidence. You hit a 5R home run, you feel like a god.
Right.
The chemicals in your brain are firing. So on the very next trade, you relax your rules. You take a subpar setup or you double your size because you're playing with the house's money.
Which is a fallacy because once it's in your account, it's your money.
Exactly. A journal will show you. Warning, your performance drops by 40% immediately following a large win.
Wow.
Once you know that, you can institute a rule. After a 3R win, I walk away for the day.
And this segues perfectly into the concept of confidence. I think this is the most misunderstood word in trading. We think confidence is looking in the mirror and shouting, I am a tiger, I am a winner.
The Wolf of Wall Street method.
Yeah.
Test thumping. It works for sales, maybe. It doesn't work for risk management.
Right.
False confidence is actually dangerous in the market because it makes you blind to risk.
So what is real confidence, according to this research?
The source defines it beautifully. Confidence is the memory of empirical evidence.
It's not, I hope this works. It's, I know that over the last 100 times I took this setup, it worked 60% of the time and paid out 2 to 1.
It's statistical confidence. It's the confidence of the house at a casino. The casino isn't hoping you lose at blackjack. They know the math.
They have the edge, and the journal is how you prove you have an edge. If you are stressed while trading, sweating through your shirt, it's usually because you don't actually know if your edge exists.
You're just gambling.
You're guessing. And when you guess with money on the line, the body responds with anxiety.
So if I'm panicking during a trade, it's not just nerves, it's a lack of data.
It's a signal that you are gambling. When you have the data, when you've logged 100 iterations of that trade in Lincfolio and seen the curve, the anxiety drops, you just execute.
You become the casino manager.
Not the gambler.
That brings us to that killer quote from the text. I think it sums up the whole philosophy. If a trade isn't journaled properly, it didn't teach you anything. And trading without learning is just expensive entertainment. It's like a gut punch. Think about how much money people lose in the markets. If you lose $1,000, that could be an expensive seminar that teaches you a valuable lesson. Right. But if you didn't log the lesson, you just burned the money. You paid the tuition but skipped the class.
And we've all paid plenty of tuition, so we've covered the why and the what. Now I want to get to the how, because getting started is the hardest part.
It always is.
The source offers a specific challenge to the listener, right?
Yes. And I love this challenge because it's finite. They don't say journal forever. That feels too big. They say commit to the next 20 trades.
Just 20.
Just 20. But for these 20, you have to go deep. You have to log the technicals, yes, but you must log the emotional state, the market context, and the rule compliance.
And what is the mindset we need to bring to this? Because if I write down, I was an idiot and chased price, I'm going to feel terrible.
This is crucial. You have to adopt the mindset of a scientist, not a judge.
Explain that distinction. A judge looks at a mistake and assigns guilt and punishment. You broke the rule. You're undisciplined. You'll never make it.
Right.
That leads to shame, and shame makes you hide the data. You'll stop journaling to avoid the pain.
Right. It's like avoiding looking at the bank account when we know we spent too much over the weekend.
Exactly. But a scientist looks at the mistake and says, fascinating. The subject broke the rule under these specific conditions. Let's note that data point.
Detachment.
You are observing the machine. You are the operator and the mechanic. If the machine overheats, you don't yell at it. You fix the cooling system.
Right.
So for these 20 trades, just observe. Don't beat yourself up. Just capture the reality.
Clarity before consistency.
You cannot fix what you cannot see. Most people try to force consistency. I will be disciplined tomorrow. But they don't know why they were undisciplined today.
Yeah.
Was it fatigue? Was it distraction? Was it market chop? Get the clarity first. The consistency follows.
It's amazing. We spend thousands on courses, chat rooms, multiple monitors. But the most valuable data feed is the one we generate ourselves, and we ignore it because it's messy to capture.
It's the only proprietary data you have.
Yeah.
Everyone has the same charts. Everyone has the same news. The only unique edge you can build is understanding your own interaction with risk. That's what the journal unlocks. And tools like Lincfolio just make that key easier to turn.
So for everyone listening, you don't need a new indicator. You need to look in the mirror.
And you need to write down what you see.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave the listeners with a final thought to chew on. We've talked about how unreliable memory is.
I have a question for the listener that sums this whole concept up. It's a hypothetical scenario.
Okay.
I want you to imagine you are a wealthy investor looking to hire a trader to manage your life savings.
Okay, high stakes.
You interview a guy, let's call him you, but you can't talk to him. You can't hear his stories about his big wins or his gut feelings.
I see where this is going.
All you can see is a spreadsheet of his last 100 trades. You see the P&L share, but you also see the rule compliance column. You see the emotional state logs. You see that he followed his plan only 60% of the time.
Ooh.
You see that he revenge traded 3 times last month because he was bored.
Looking at that raw data,
Would you give that person your money?
that is confronting.
If the answer is no, then you know exactly what you need to do. And it doesn't involve buying a new monitor. It involves sitting down, opening the journal, and starting the work of turning that data into truth.
That's it. Stop trusting your memory. Start trusting the data. A huge thank you to the Inside the Trading Journal series for the reality check.
Absolutely.
Take the 20 trade challenge. Be the scientist.
And stop paying for expensive entertainment.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Something to think about. Thanks for listening.